I want to talk about why we discuss. And it's something we don't do anymore, really, the right way, you know, like the Greeks did, for example. And all through the Middle Ages, that's what education was. You went and you read stuff, and we talked about this last time, that you read and you discuss and you have experience. So, there are some ways that discussion is going to change your life, and I want to tell you what they are. The first one is that it's going to teach you how to handle confrontation in your life. Not just in your little discussion, but if you'll do it right and you'll do it consistently, you'll gain some really important skills. Let me give you an example. We say in these circles a lot the phrase, we're going to take back our country, right? Now, when I say those words, I have a picture in my head. It's not the same picture you have in your head. When we both say that, we think we're on the same page, but we really haven't even communicated anything yet. Because I don't know what you mean, and you don't know what I mean until we have a discussion about it. So what we have to do is seek first to understand. We have to actively listen. And a discussion group is a beautiful place to gain that skill, because this isn't, you know, like the conversation with your teenager that's going to change their life. You know, this is a safer place. This is something that's a little, you know, and government's kind of a neutral ground. It's passionate, but it's not quite so passionate maybe as other things can be. Not quite so personal as other things can be to discuss. And so what you'll want to do is active listen. You want to learn to respect other people, and we'll talk about that rule of only talking for 2 or 3 minutes, but you want to listen, and that means that you really, I do this, we all do this. You hear while you prepare your reply, right? That's what we don't want to do. We want to, my mentor gave me a fabulous skill. I said, how do you mentor? How do you know what to say to people you're mentoring? And this is what she said. She said, I empty my mind and I listen. I really work hard, and if you want a great explanation of this, it's in The Road Less Traveled, has a fabulous explanation of his experience with truly listening. I love the way he explains it. But anyway, she said, I empty my head and I listen. And if there is an idea that returns to my mind more than 2 or 3 times, I know that's what I need to communicate in return. If it just comes and goes in my head, then it was fleeting and it didn't matter. But she's trying to have a connection going both ways all the time, right? So active listening means you communicate through your body language and through repeating phrases back to that individual what it is you're hearing until you both know that you've heard each other. And if you want to build a relationship, this is it. You can build trust faster with anybody by active listening than anything else you can do. Because it lets them know that you care enough to set all of your thoughts and all of your time and all of your other interests aside just for them. It's one of the most affirming things you can do for anybody. So, you will gain the skill of active listening. And you will also learn to state your beliefs diplomatically. If you come to the group and offend everybody, the first 2 meetings, they will not invite you back. So if you want to continue to come and have this discussion group, you're going to have to learn to be a little more diplomatic. To put it in, and if you listen, you know what the other person's paradigms and beliefs and worldview is, and if you will engage in the struggle to put it in terms that they can connect with and identify with, then your relationship will grow and you will have a new experience. And these are skills that you can gain through group discussion. I was in a class, and we were supposed to write anything, and that's how we do it at Georgetown College. You have to write, but you can write whatever you want. Dr. Mill says never ask anybody to write anything that they don't care about, because it's a waste of your time and their time. And I have come to see that that's absolutely true. So we wrote what we cared about, and what I cared about at the time is I had started to homeschool. I got a lot of flack. from both sides of the family. And so I was going to, state my case. And I wrote that thing, and I rewrote it, and I thought it through, and I thought I had a really great argument to present, and I thought I was cool and collected, and I thought it was a pretty good letter. Just, letter, 2-3 pages to the family. I really intended to mail it out. So we came to class, we were doing our writing seminar that night, and what we do is we bring copies for everybody, and then we read part of ours out loud, and then we give feedback, and then the mentor mentors us, and then we come back with a revised copy. That's how we do it. So I read the first paragraph or so, and there was silence. And finally, one of the women in the class said, "I feel like you're yelling at me." And I realized I've not reached that diplomatic place yet. So I better not send it out. So this is a skill that takes time to develop. But this is why it's education for real life. And this is why truth is all connected. And this is why, if you will engage in this process, it will bless your whole life. It will not just teach you about government. It will teach you more about who you are. And that's the third one, is it will expose you to yourself. Now, I'm going to let Blaine come up and tell a story, and it's a great story, about discussion helping you to learn more about yourself.
I've done a few embarrassing things, but this was by far the tops. As Americans, we're opinionated. Is that true or false? We are. That's my opinion. We're very opinionated. And so I just finished reading The Real Thomas Jefferson, and I went to class, and my mentor asked something about John Adams. John Adams. He's such a loser. She's like, "So excuse me," and I said, "Well, Adams." She's like, "No, I don't know what you mean." I was like, "Adams, he just, he's always flying out because he's kind of a loser, He's always." She's like, "I think you better get your facts straight." I said, "Huh?" She's like, "You don't know anything about Adams, do you?" I said, "Huh?" Okay, so then I read the John Adams by McCullough. Have you read that? Fabulous. I was so mortified. I kept seeing her saying, "You need to get your facts straight." I thought, oh my heck, because Adams is incredible. And you know what's really weird? I'm a lot like Adams. I'm short, I'm passionate, and I don't have a list, but John Adams was an incredible man. Two things that I'll tell you real quick that I know he did. He nominated George Washington to be the general, and he nominated Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. And he did a whole ton of other things to help found our country.
Sacrifice.
So be careful what you say.
So he learned a lot about himself in that discussion. Learned that he needed to be more careful when he spoke. There was a woman in one of the classes, and this is a little more painful example. We were reading through Mises, talking about human nature laws, going through them and hashing them out, deciding if they really were true human nature laws or not. And one of them is all human action is choice. And we spent a lot of time on that one. Is all human action choice? Are we always choosing? And by the time that discussion was done, she was in tears. She had to leave the class. Because there was abuse in her family. And she had been trying to make excuses about that all her life. And it meant that she had to look at her life in a new way and take some responsibility that she hadn't wanted to take. It's tough. But the only way to truly be free is to take responsibility first. When you know that it's your, only when you know it's your fault, can you fix it? So you'll find out things about yourself, good things, really good things, and bad things, things that you're good at, things that you're not good at. Number 4, you'll find the truth before you act. Well, there's a concept. I'll actually know what the principle is before I go try to do something about it. This streamlines your action. It makes it efficient. It makes it based on truth and not opinion. It's just like when you go to your friend and you complain about your marriage, and then they tell you what to do and you go do it. And you don't You know, well, you just, you know, she needs to go out on a date. That's just, you know, that's what she needs. And how do they know? You know, who knows? And the truth is, you're married to them. So if you don't know, how could they possibly know? You know. So again, it's finding the truth first. What is it that's really going on? And what can I do about it? And then 5 is the discussion group will empower you with discussion of application. Well, if this is a true principle, then what does it mean for me? What can I do about it? Because we're going to discuss 5,000-year leap in a few minutes. And there's a whole lot of principles in there. And you know what I might get out of it? I might get out of it that what that means for me is that I need to volunteer somewhere. And what you might get out of it is that you need to start a charity. Do I need to stop? And what another person might get out of it is that they need to form a grassroots organization. I don't know. Maybe what you get out of it is that, you know what? My home life's in trouble. And I don't go have societal impact until my house is in order, so that's what I'm going to do first. I know a man that ran for office, and his home life was a mess. And you know what running for office did? It just exposed all the problems at home. So be careful and recognize that this is an empowering experience. Now, number 6, it will show us what we know and what we don't know. What are your holes? Which one of these principles do you genuinely get and which ones do you not? And really understand. And what else do you need to go home and learn in order to fill in your holes, in order to be influential? Number 7, it gives you the knowledge, support, and motivation to change. If we'll just be human, if you'll just be human in your discussion groups, and that means here, but that means I hope that you go home and do more of this. I hope you do this every month the rest of your life, because it will change the rest of your life. If you'll let yourself be human and you'll let other people in the group be human, then you'll find out that there are things that everybody needs to learn. And there is something that everybody there can give. And it will help you understand as you learn to know and value each one of those people as unique individuals, you'll see other people in your life in new ways. And you'll value them in new ways. And you'll learn to hear them and to know them better than you have in the past, because you're paying a price to develop those skills in yourself. And the 8th one, and this is a very, very important one. They're all very important. It will develop in you the ability to truly, creatively problem solve, because it will deepen your thinking. It will streamline your thinking so that now every time there's a problem you say, what's the principle? What's the appropriate application? How can I build a bridge? And your thinking will be changed forever if you'll pay a price to develop it. There's a few quotes I love about this. Mortimer Adler, have you ever heard of the Great Books of the Western World set? Mortimer Adler compiled that and wrote the 2 books, Synopticon at the beginning and the Great Conversation. If you go through and read the Synopticon, that's about 20 people's lifetimes. I don't know how in the world he did it. It goes through the entire Great Book set and references love and angels and a whole bunch of other things. He's amazing. And he went to the University of Chicago with Hutchinson, and they tried to reform that university in the 30s and make it more of a liberal arts program. And unfortunately couldn't sustain it. But he said that liberal arts education, which is largely what we're talking about, education for real life, he said, it frees our minds by disciplining them. If you know that there is a true principle that says discipline brings freedom, then you will see the truth in that statement. Physical discipline brings physical freedom. Spiritual discipline brings spiritual freedom. Marital discipline brings marital freedom. And so with thinking.